We have a great idea for you today. We're going to be doing sketching in the garden with Rene Eisenbart, and she does all these beautiful drawings in the Oregonian's Home and Garden Northwest. Good morning.
Good morning.
And this is so beautiful. I just love this watercolor, and we're doing some sketching over here today.
Yes, I'll just start with telling you about the basics of sketching. There's very little you really need. You need a pencil.
Ah, okay, I got that.
And I use an Eversharp. It's just easy and basic, and you never have to worry about sharpening it. So
okay.
Any kind of sketching pencil will work, though. I use a kneaded eraser. Hopefully I don't have to use it a whole lot. And when I choose a subject for sketching, I suggest, at least for beginners, look for something really simple. And even for my work, I tend to go for a simplistic kind of design. It's often more enjoyable than something that's intensely complicated. And it's a good place to start. So a simple leaf form, even just one leaf, is a great place to start drawing.
Well, I bet you could see so much more detail. This is such a beautiful leaf on this geranium, and we might not notice it unless we were studying it to sketch.
Exactly. When I study a leaf, I really notice all the lines of the veins. I notice the colors and the forms of the leaf. I like to turn things around and look at them from different angles to decide which please me the most. And so I study a plant way beyond what I normally do when I just spend time in a garden.
Now, Rene, we have this great volunteer over here that has some earlier rules from you. So what did you tell William to start with?
I told him to start with something very simple. So he's drawing a tulip tree. This is just a basic leaf form. And you drew it in a way that is compositionally interesting. It's moving off of the page instead of having like a leaf in the center of the page. Some of the leaves are tilted sideways to show, it helps show depth. It conveys a sense of being three-dimensional even though you're working on a two-dimensional surface.
And it's interesting because it's not exactly as it is in real life, so he's taken some artisticness to it.
And that's a good idea. I think it's better to create a caricature of the plant instead of actually trying to make it look photorealistic. You want to make it look even more like itself than it really does.
And it is. It looks like it because he's getting so much detail that you wouldn't really notice when you're just looking at it.
And the shading also is a way to create depth. For doing illustration with watercolor, I usually just leave the shading out or make a quick pencil outline where the shading will go. But the light and shading really creates the form.
Rene, William was working on shading his leaves, but I see that you've used color in this rhubarb leaf.
Color really makes an image pop. And when I sketch, I tend to leave the lines just pretty basic, and then I'll add shadows and texture when I add the color. This piece was sketched at the Chinese garden, and then I used it as a class demonstration to add color in later. And what I did is photographed the flower, and that way I could bring it back into the studio to finish it up and have the colors a little more true. Although what I tend to like to do is to shake things up a little bit and pop some colors in there that you wouldn't necessarily really see if you studied the leaf.
Well, I think that you've given us some good tips to start with, and we just have to practice, get some tools, and just go out there and enjoy our garden in a different way and look at textures and look at colors and just kind of go for it.
Practicing is really important, and keep in mind there aren't any rules that you can't break. So just enjoy and turn that critical voice off that says, this doesn't look right.
Right.
And just enjoy being out there and drawing in your garden.
Well, thank you so much for having us out today.
My pleasure. Thank you.